The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar today on the Sales CRM and the proposal tool of ProjX360. A couple housekeeping tips to go through before we get started. I myself am Doug Greenwald, the founder and CEO of ProjX360. I have two of our developers, Jason Jones, our senior developer, and Amy with us, who's one of our developers on the call also. I'm going to go through the whole best workflow for the sales CRM and the proposal tool. We'll go through the whole demonstration. Then after that, we'll open the floor up to questions. You can type in your questions, or you can raise your hand, use the raise your hand feature, and we can unmute you, and listen to your questions. But that being said, I'm going to get into the demonstration here and start going through everything. So our sales CRM is where everything kind of starts. So this is the sales process. This is our sales CRM dashboard. On the dashboard, you can see what's in your overall pipeline, what's been added to your pipeline in the last 30 days, what's been won or lost in the last 30 days, what's been won or lost year to date. You can also see your weighted pipeline. So the weighted pipeline is basically a factor of when you create a deal, which I'll be showing you shortly. You can give it a percentage of chance to close. It takes that against the overall total pipeline and comes up with your weighted pipeline. You can see all your won deals right here. You can see what's been invoiced and what's been not invoiced. And then you can also see new companies that have been added in the last 30 days and new people that have been added in the last 30 days. Scrolling down, you can see your overall salesperson's pipeline. So each individual salesperson's pipeline is right here. And again, these are clickable, so you can kind of go into all the details of that if you want to. You can see your pipeline by stages that you've created. So again, the stages are all customizable to you. And then you can see by salesperson, the potential to close per salesperson going down here. So when a new lead comes in, you're going to go over to people and click on go over to the people here. Let me get rid of that search. And go over to the upper right hand corner and hit the cog and hit add person. So this is where you're going to fill in all the information, client information. If there is a company related to them, you can associate a company right here. You can associate one of your existing companies, or you can hit add new company, and you can input all that company information right here as you're entering the person. Then you'll assign a salesperson to this lead. In the settings, you'll set up all your different sources. So you can create as many different sources as you want. A source could be builders you work with, developments you work, architects, advertising, whatever it may be, where you're getting your business from. So you can actually run reports and see where your business is coming from in the reporting section of the software. You can set up different statuses, and you can create different tags also. Again, more of a filtering feature and a report feature. Then you also have a capability of adding as many different custom fields as you'd like. So any additional information you'd like to have, you can create the custom fields. Then you'll save that. And once you save it, it'll add the person to the database. We have a nice search feature throughout the software that you can search. So if you're looking for a particular person, you can just start typing in the name. It'll narrow down the search. You can then click on the person. And this is called the client profile page. So this is all the information and everything kind of related to this client. So up on top here, in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see all the client information that you entered. Over time, you will see any associated records with them. So any proposals, projects, work orders, and invoices. And you can click on any one of these to go into the detail, and you can even add them from here if you'd like to. But we'll get more into that kind of stuff in our webinar next week when we do a project management webinar. You can create activities for the salespeople. So an activity is really a to-do, a task for the salespeople. So salespeople can create their own activities. They can create an activity template in the settings, and that activity template could be really a list of things to do. And when you create that template, you can then set different days of when things will happen, and I'll show you more detail on that in the settings later in the webinar. You can easily see what's been completed and what hasn't been. The salespeople can check things off as they do complete it. We also do have a complete sales calendar that they can do all their scheduling and everything in. So you can see any scheduled events or anything like that. They can add schedule events right from here. And if a salesperson has any activity or calendar event on any given day, they will get an automated email called the Daily Rundown. It's an early morning email that comes out and gets emailed to them with basically a list of their agenda for that day, so things don't fall through the cracks. You can see any associated deals with this person. And for clarification, a deal is an opportunity in our software, so you can see any opportunities they have. You can easily add a deal right here. And to add a deal, you'll fill out the deal name. So again, the key thing in our software, one of the best practices is to come up with some kind of naming strategy. So what we do in my own integration company is we always use the client's last name first, then if it's a common last name, comma first name, and then what it is. So in this case, the client's Brian Allen. So I'm going to call this the Allen, and then what am I doing basically? What is this going to be? And I can put in, Savant System if I'd like, if that's what we're doing over there. I can put in, I can select a company if there's a company associated with them. I can put in the estimated deal value. What I think this value of this deal is. I've maybe met with them a little bit or talked to them on the phone, and maybe I have an idea of what their budget is, and I can put that in here. Here's where you can give that potential to close. So what right now, maybe I give it like 25%. I can put in my expected close date. So I can put in when I think this is going to close. So I can run reports based on my pipeline based on estimated close date. Here's where you can put in after it's received, after the deal's been approved and everything, and you got a contract. If you want to track what's been invoiced, the dollar amount, you can actually input that right here later on that, and you can update the deal stages change right here as it progresses. You can then enter in the address for where this deal is going to be and input that. You'll then select who the salesperson is, select the source of where it came from, and then you can also put the status. And then in deals, you can create custom fields also. So you can create any kind of custom fields you want on here, and then just save the deal. And now that deal's been added to the system here. You can, one thing I forgot to do to show you is I want to put in the stage. So in here, I want to put in the stage that maybe now it's, qualified. So now that's been added to the deals associated with this person. You can, and I'll get back into deals in a second here. You can also see here the custom fields section and all the information you inputted. You can also add notes right here. So any notes you want to add. And when you do add notes, it does stamp the author and the date and time that note was added. When you do go into a deal, you can see, again, like I just was, you can see the estimated value, the expected close date. Any of these are clickable to edit, so you can just click on anything to edit it. You can see how long it's been aging, the status and stage. Here's the custom fields. We have a notes section too in deals that you can add any notes that you want. So if you want to add notes, oops. You can just put a note in there and it stamps who put the notes and the date and time, so you have the record. You can edit or delete the notes if you want to right over here. You can add any attachments, so any documentation you want to add, you can add it right here. But now say you've met with the client and you're ready to generate a proposal. You can just go up here inside the deal to create proposal, and it'll then push all that client's information over into our proposal tool. And if you need to edit anything, you can just click, again, you can just click on things to edit. But if everything's okay, you can just kind of go through, select who the designer is of this proposal. You can set up different pricing rules in the proposal tool, so you can create as many different pricing rules as you'd want, and then select the one that best applies to this proposal. And we do have multiple pricing rules coming out. It's on our roadmap where you can select multiple pricing rules per proposal. That'll be coming out in the near future. But then you can select what that pricing rule applies to, if it applies to labor, to product, or to both. You can set up as many different tax rates as you want, and then select the tax rate that best applies. Same thing with payment schedules. You can set up as many different payment schedules as you'd like, and then select the one that best applies right here. You can create as many different templated scopes of work, grab the scope of work that best applies to this particular proposal. And again, you can go in and edit the templated scope of work if you'd like to, and it won't edit the template. It'll only edit it for this proposal. So if you want to create a kind of a generic baseline, because like in our industry, most of the systems, the core of it are pretty much the same, but like the number of zones might change, the number of audio zones might change, the lighting system count might change, and so forth like that in rooms where you can edit those. Contracts, you can put in as many different contracts as you'd like and grab the contract that best applies for this particular proposal. Then you go up here to locations. In the settings, you'll want to input all your locations that you use on a regular basis and put those in. And then you just simply drag over to the right the ones that apply to this particular proposal. And you can also then drag and drop the order you want these to appear on the proposal for the customer. If you have a specific location that you want to just add for this proposal, you can just click the plus symbol right here and add that right here. And just by inputting it, it'll just add it to the proposal. But if you do want to save it, if it's something that's maybe you want to use again, you can hit the global button and it'll save it to the database so you can reuse it if you'd like. When you're done inputting all your locations, you'll want to go over to systems. And again, systems, you can set up as many different systems as you'd like. This is a filtering feature. So, you could have like audio video systems, control systems, lighting control, security, structured, whatever you want. You decide. And again, then just drag over to the right the ones that are going to apply to this particular proposal. And then again, you can drag and drop the order. The systems appear inside the location on the proposal, so you can organize it that way. When you're done with that, you'll simply go up to the cog right here and hit Build Proposal. And now you're actually in the Build Proposal tool. And you can add product a variety of different ways to the proposal. like you may all know, we do have a product database. So, from your product manager down here, you can search that. So you can just start typing in, say, it's a Sony XBR, but don't know the rest of it. It'll bring up everything that's related to that. You'll simply then just click on the location you want to put it in. So it expands and you can see all the systems right there. Just grab your product and drag it over the system you want to filter it by, which in this case is televisions, and drop it. And it now added it to that location and system. In our proposal tool, you can actually add accessories to a product. So you can add whatever accessories. They'll appear and prompt you, but you don't have to always add all the accessories. You can just turn things off if you don't need them. Like if I don't need this HDMI cable, I can turn it off and just hit add. And now it just added the wall mount instead. Clicking on the plus button right here expands and contracts it. Also, however you want this upper view to look, all these different fields that you see up here, if you click the cog and hit layout, you can pick and choose what you want to see in your proposal build piece. You can turn things off by clicking on the eye and turning them off. They'll turn tan, and blue means they're activated, but then you can also drag and drop the order that you want things in to view it. What we've just recently added is taxable and non-taxable by line item. So you can actually turn tax on and off by line item now inside the proposal. So if I go into the location here where I just added that television, you can see by taxable for equipment and then also labor. We call it follow tax rule. And that what that means basically is it means you got it set as taxable, and it's following whatever tax rule you set up in that beginning. Remember when I was setting up the proposal? So whatever tax rule or tax rate I selected, that's what's applied to it. But then if I don't want it taxable, I can just select non-taxable by clicking on it. So that's a new feature we actually just rolled out this week. You can also bring in products from Portal. So if you are looking for something, you can just start typing it in. And even if you don't know the whole model number, if you just start typing in it, it'll reach out to Portal's database and bring everything back that's related. You can then click on the piece you want once you find it. It'll bring in the product image, the description, and model number and everything, and your pricing that you set up in Portal, and then you can hit add to queue. And what it does, you can see in the background here, it added it to the side over here. So this is a new enhancement we did with V2 that you can now go and search, Portal as much as you want for things. Like if I wanted to, do another search, I don't have to get out of it, and I can just add things to the queue to add to the system as much as I want. So if I wanted the 16 by 16, I can hit add to queue on there, and I can go on as much as I'd like. When I'm done, then I can just click out of there. And again, it's all sitting right here. So all I have to do is just expand the location that I want to put it in, and then drag and drop the items over into the system I want them in. And as you can see, this one right here is highlighted yellow. What that's doing is it's giving you a warning. Portal doesn't do labor phases and labor hours, so you'll have to set that up, and you only have to do it once. So if you just click on it, go into the product here, and you want to go down to labor, and you'll want to click on phase, and then select one of the phases that you set up that applies to it. Hit OK. And then you want to put in how many hours this takes to install this piece. And you can do by, half hour or whatever. You can put in decimal points. And then it already knows from your settings what your labor rate is for that phase, and it adds it accordingly right here. So now when you bring that product over, it'll bring over that labor phase and labor hours. And so this updated it for just this proposal, but if you want to update it so it's there later, we have a little globe in the upper part of the product right here. Just click on that and it'll save it to that. So and it'll prompt you, do you want to save it for this proposal or save it to the product manager? And I'm going to say save it to the product manager so it's there next time. So for in a product, we have all these different sections here, general information, pricing, notes, and accessories. The little globe will just do a save for just the section you're on. And then we have a big globe down here in the lower left-hand corner that'll actually do a save to the, it'll save everything in here to the product manager. So all the fields together. So we give you some options on there. And if you didn't want to save it globally, just make the edit here. And that's all you have to do. And it just saved it just for this proposal. And that's all there is to it. You can also go under browse and you can build packages in the settings. So you can build whatever kind of package you want. You could build your favorite surround package. If you're a commercial guy, build, maybe, basic restaurant or a small conference room, whatever you want to do. Again, then just expand the location you want to put it in, grab it, put it under the system you want, and it adds everything. And again, you can hit the plus symbol and it'll expand everything so you can see it. And then another enhancement we did in V2 is you can drag and drop the order the equipment appears in the proposal for the client. So you can customize the order that you want it in. And even in a package here, you can, determine if it's, going to be individual line item pricing or not. As you're building a proposal, you may want to know where you're at. So we have that calculate totals, which will basically calculate the proposal. It'll break it out by product. So it'll show you your cost and your markup. It'll show you your margin. It does the same thing for labor. And then the same thing for the entire proposal. So you can see, where you're at, what your margin is for this, what the total proposal's at. And then you can even expand it by location here if you'd like to. If you're done though, and you want to generate a proposal, you just simply go to generate proposal. And now you can filter your proposal a variety of different ways. You can filter it by category, by location, by manufacturer, and by system. My favorite's always location. Then we have a bunch of advanced features, and we've added some advanced options in V2. So here's where you can select if you want to show like product images, if you want to show the model number or line item pricing. A new enhancement we added in V2 was to show systems inside of a location. So you can click that, and then when you click that, another option appears that if you want to show the system totals, per system inside of a location to really break it down granular for your customer. So you can do that. And then again, you can decide how you want to save these settings, if it's just for this proposal. In settings, in systems right here, if you wanted to filter out and only, show the items in the audio video, you can turn off the other sections and just show any kind of combination of this or show the entire proposal. You can customize and add your own color scheme right here. So you can set up your own color schemes. You can upload as many as, custom cover images as you'd like, and you can select which one that you want to apply to this proposal. And then you have an option. You can just download the proposal document, or if you want to email it, go up. And when you're building, if you keep it in view only, this is another feature we added in V2. If you keep it in view only, you can sit here and check on your proposal as you're building it without creating a revision. So this kind of lets you check on it and all that kind of good stuff also. But if you're done and you're ready to maybe email it or even print it, you can go to create, generate revision. And now these become links. So, I mean, you can then basically hit email and it'll pull up your email with a link. And then the client can click on that link and they get a view of the proposal. And I'll kind of walk you on this. So it shows you, all your color scheme that you selected has your company logo and information up here. Has all the client information. It also has the image that you uploaded. You have your company logo and information. Here's your scope of work, which would be obviously longer than a sentence. And then we broke things out by location, but also by system inside there. So the equipment closet only has one system, but if we go to game room, for instance, where we have the audio video and everything in the audio video with an audio video total, because I selected that, and then also televisions and the television total right here, and then the overall game great room total below that. So again, that's another new feature that we added in V2. We have all the labor broken out by phase. We have the grand total right here. And then you have the payment schedule you selected, and it did all the math for you right here. Here's your contract, which would be longer than a sentence. And then the client has two options. They can suggest request revisions, where if they click on that, a box will appear, and they can type in whatever revisions they want and send that, and you'll get an email with that. Or they can do an electronic signature and approve it. If there was no signature and they tried clicking on this, they wouldn't send it or approve. It'll give them a little warning that they need to do the electronic signature. But they can hit approve, and then it sends you an email notification. And then here in the software, when you go back into the proposal, under revisions, you can see the date and time that was approved. So now that the proposal is approved, you can actually create purchase orders if you want to start ordering things. And where you do that is you'll go over to the cog right here, click on it, and go to Manage Purchase Orders. It'll then push everything from the proposal over into the PO section. And you can filter it by any one of these columns by just clicking on it, and it'll sort automatically for you. And if whatever you want to order, so say I want to order the Crestron equipment, I can click on all the Crestron. Gives me my total cost up there. I can hit Create Purchase Order. I'll give it a PO name or number. And then I'll select the supplier. And for this one, it's going to be obviously Crestron. And I'm going to go and create purchase order. It pulls that equipment out of this upper section because this upper section is letting you know what hasn't been ordered yet for this proposal. And then the POs are down below, so it created a PO for that. You can hit the arrow button right here to expand it. And you can see your purchase order right here. If you do need to make any edits or change anything, you can do so. Or if it's all good, you can either download a PDF, or we have an email feature for that, where you can compose the email to the supplier or manufacturer. They'll get the email with a link to the purchase order. They can click on it. It opens the purchase order, and it has all your company information right here and everything. And they do have the option under status to mark it shipped, back order, discontinued. Can't guarantee you that they're going to do that. But even if they don't, if you go back into the software here, you have those options inside the software right here, by line item with those same ones. But then you have an extra one called received that you can mark things received so you know what's been received and what hasn't been. So that's kind of the workflow for Sales CRM and into a proposal. I'm going to walk you through some of the settings, but next week we're having a webinar, going from when the proposal is accepted into the project management side of the software. But some settings I talked about earlier. So make sure, you go in your CRM and go through your settings and, for your custom fields. Remember, we have 3 parts of the CRM. So you can set up custom fields for companies, for people, and for deals. So they can be all different. you'll want to set up your different activities. So here's those activities and tasks basically for the salespeople. So you can create, what type of an event it is, and you can edit or delete any of these over here. But here's where you can create those to-do templates basically for the salespeople. And if you want to go into, see what it is when you set one up, this is what I'm talking about. When you give it the start date, based on these days is when this task will, come as a reminder for them to do. So 1 day after it's created, 3 days, 9 days, 10 days, 14 days, and you can create as many of these templates as you'd like. You want to go and set up your different statuses. Here's where you set up all your different sources. And if it did cost you any money for it, like if it was advertising and so forth, you can put that in here to see what your costs were too. And here's also where you set up your tags and then your deal stages. The only deal stages that can't be deleted are lost in one because those are pretty much required. In proposals, you'll want to go into proposals and then go up here to the cog and go to settings and go through all your different settings. So here's where you create your pricing rules. Here's where you add all your locations or edit them and delete them if you want to. Again, keep in mind, I don't recommend deleting a location that you've already created. We gave you that feature, but deleting anything can break things. So if you delete a location and there's previous proposals that have that location, that product is going to get orphaned into the unassigned. So keep that in mind. I strongly recommend just edit if it's already created. Just click on it and edit it. Don't delete. Same thing with systems. You'll want to set those things up. You want to create your payment schedules. And when you're creating your payment schedules, like you can see here, you can create as many different payments as you'd like when you're doing it. And again, just to add them, just hit the cog and hit add payment schedule. And then your templated your contracts you can add right here. And same thing with your scopes of work. And both of those have an autofill features that, where it autofills the client name and so forth to personalize it a little more. So that pretty much sums up CRM and proposals and the workflow for that. So I'm going to open it up to you guys to questions, and Jason is going to be fielding the questions. So Jason, are there any questions?
Yeah, they would like to see the calendar portion of the daily reminders. So in the CRM, we wanted to see that again.
Yeah, I don't have a daily reminder to show you handy. I don't have my emails open. The calendar, though, I can take you into the calendar. The daily reminder is really it's an automated email that just comes to you. So, but going into a person, if you go into a calendar, you can see what calendar events are there. To schedule anything, you can just click the calendar button right here, and it'll take you into our scheduling piece. And what it does, if you're familiar with our scheduler, it's all pre-filtered. So it filters it out to the CRM calendar, and then they just hit the plus symbol, and they can add a new event for anything. So they can type in what this is, and they can select the client if there is one. They don't need a client though to schedule anything, but if they do have a client, they can grab them. They can give it a color code if they want. And then they can put in, I got the date that it automatically defaulted to, but we can put in, maybe it's going to be done at 10 a.m. and we're going to do 8 a.m. start. And then you can put in any kind of description if you want. You don't have to. It's not required. And then it adds it to the calendar right here. And then you can view the calendar by month, by week, by day, and by list. And If you do need to move stuff around, if you need to change a date, you can just drag and drop and it'll automatically save it. Any other questions?
Yeah, somebody wanted to know, in the proposal builder, do accessories track to the system to which they were assigned? Essentially wanting to know, does a single product with accessories live in multiple systems? And no, they do not. So if you have a TV that has, an HDMI cable and a bracket, those all live in the system with the parent product, the TV.
Yeah, and the labor phase that you set up with those accessories, because they're all individually in the product manager here, so they're part of the product manager. They're just, you're just tying other product to another product is really what you're doing. So whatever you set that product up with when you built it in the product manager, and whatever labor phase and hours you put with it, that's what follows that product, even as an accessory.
And somebody wanted to know when the webinar is next week.
I'm gonna be sending that out later today or first thing in the morning, but probably the same time. Actually, no, because I'm gonna be traveling to Los Angeles, so we're probably doing it on Friday next week. I don't have an exact time yet, but I will be sending out an email with all that information. Like I said, either later today or first thing in the morning tomorrow.
And somebody asked if we're recording it. Yes, we are. It'll be available on our website, shortly after the webinar. Somebody asked if we're going to release a mobile version of the CRM. Everything in ProjX360 is mobile responsive, so there's not necessarily a mobile view. It is a condensed view. When you viewed on a mobile device, it changes, sizing and stacking.
Yeah. So to give an idea, like for instance, we're in a client view. If you want to, I can kind of show you what this would be a iPhone 10. So it automatically kind of stacks everything nicely. So everything's built in a responsive design platform. So the guys have access to everything, the entire software in the field.
Somebody asked if there's once a job or project, work orders, finishes, is there a way to set up follow-up reminders 30 days, 90 days, 6 months after? You could do it at the CRM level using the activities and creating a template with those set times, 30-day, 90-day, 120 days, whatever it is, and set those events. And then the morning of, you'll get an email with that daily rundown.
Or you can even create if you want to, you can create a task too, which will, if your notifications are set up to get an email reminder, you can. But yeah, that's this sales template to-do list basically that I showed you, that you can set different days to set a follow-up reminder for you. Or if you just want to create a task in the task section of the software, you can actually do that too. And then you'll put a due date for that task. And based on how you have your settings, you'll either get a software notification or an email notification or both.
Currently, there's no more questions.
Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, I appreciate everybody's time. I know everybody's busy and everything like that. We appreciate you taking the time to sit through our webinar. Like I said, I will be sending the webinar out for next week, which will cover the project management side of the software. So we'll be going over, kind of picking up where we left off, after the proposal's accepted, to create a project and then go into, the project details page, covering all that in the workflow, how to, create a work order, how to do the scheduling, the time tracking, and everything like that. So that webinar will probably might be a little longer because it's a little more in depth. But I appreciate everybody's time. And if you do have any questions, you can always email support@projX360.com or call us at 844-688-5584. And if you guys do want a private demo, a personal demo, just email sales@projX360.com if you're not an existing customer. If you're an existing company and want a training, again, just email support@projects360.com and request a training, or we have a training thing you can fill out on the website, and we can get that scheduled. So no more questions, Jason?
No, we've covered everything else that's being asked.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, guys, and have a good rest of your day.